Okay, so if you're in the nonprofit world, you've probably felt this already. The ground is shifting under our feet. Funding is getting tighter, and donors, well, they're demanding a lot more than just good intentions. The old way of doing things, just listing all the great work you've done, it's just not going to cut it anymore. So today, we're going to break down the single most important pivot you need to make, that shift from outputs to outcomes. A financial black hole. Wow. I mean, that's how funders are starting to see programs that can't show clear, measurable results. It's a really harsh way to put it, but it's the absolute core of this new reality. This isn't just some passing trend. It's a fundamental change in how value is defined. Your good intentions, as pure as they are no longer the main reason people are going to invest in you. So, this really boils down to the one question that every single nonprofit leader needs to be asking themselves right now. Are you just doing work, or are you proving change? The answer to that question, well, it separates the busy organizations from the effective ones. And at the end of the day, it's what's going to determine whether you get the funding you need to make a real difference. All right, so let's dig into this new funding reality. The whole thing really hinges on understanding the huge difference between two little words that sound kind of similar but mean completely different things to a donor: outputs and outcomes. This slide just lays it out perfectly, right? An output, something like serving 5,000 meals, that's a metric of efficiency. It shows you were busy, you did a lot of stuff. But an outcome, like a 15% increase in weight gain for the people who got those meals, that's a metric of effectiveness. It proves your hard work actually changed someone's life for the better. One is about activity, the other is about achievement. And guess which one funders care about now? So, you might be asking, how do funders even evaluate this? Well, they use a framework that you absolutely have to know. It's called a hierarchy of impact. Honestly, the best way to think of it is like a ladder. And knowing how to climb that ladder is the key to framing your entire pitch in a way they'll understand. And here's that ladder. It starts at the very bottom with your inputs. That's your money, your staff, all your resources. Those inputs, they fuel your outputs, the actual activities you do, like serving the meals. But right here is where the journey gets interesting. Those outputs are supposed to lead to short-term outcomes, those specific, measurable changes, and then ultimately, all of those outcomes add up to your long-term impact, the big picture systemic change you actually exist to create. Now here's the hard truth. Most struggling nonprofits, they get stuck on level 2. Their grant proposals are just full of outputs: how many workshops they ran, how many flyers they handed out. The organizations that are successful, the ones that are well-funded, they build their entire story, their whole identity, around levels 3 and 4. So how do you actually get to those higher levels? You can't just cross your fingers and hope you'll end up there. You need a map. And in the world of grants, that map is called a theory of change. This isn't just a fluffy mission statement. For a lot of major grants, it's a non-negotiable requirement. You have to prove your logic. So, what is a theory of change? Don't let the jargon scare you. Simply put, it just connects the dots. It's a logical if-then roadmap that shows a funder exactly how the stuff you do today is going to lead to that massive impact you're promising tomorrow. It basically replaces hope with a strategy. You know what? Let's just build one really quick. Okay, so it all starts with your if statement. This is your core activity, your level 2 output. So, for example, if we provide vocational training to an underserved community, then what happens right after? What's the immediate result? Graduates will gain marketable skills. See? This is your first outcome, a real, tangible change in what they know and what they can do. And because they now have those valuable skills, then they will secure living wage employment. You see how we're climbing the ladder? This is a clear change in their status, and it's a direct result of that last step. And here's the final, powerful link in the chain. If they are employed in stable, well-paying jobs, then the cycle of generational poverty can finally be broken. And just like that, you've walked a funder from a simple workshop all the way to systemic change. You've proven your logic. But a great story, even a really logical one, isn't enough. You have to prove it. And this brings us to what might be the single toughest challenge for any nonprofit: attribution. How do you prove that the change happened because of you and not just because of something else? This right here, this is the question that keeps nonprofit directors up at night. If the economy got better at the same time you ran your jobs program, how much of the credit can you really take? Funders want to know that their dollar spent through your program was the secret sauce, the critical factor. And this is where the kind of evidence you collect becomes so important. A heartwarming story about Maria feeling more confident? That's awesome for your annual newsletter. But for a multi-million-dollar grant application, you need the hard data. Maria's household income increased by 22%. That is the kind of concrete proof that screams your program works.
Okay, I know, this is a lot to take in. So the big question is, where do you even start with all this? To help you figure that out, let's just walk through a really quick Fund-Ready audit. It's just 3 crucial questions to ask your team, like right now. And hey, let's be real for a second. Tracking real outcomes is hard. It's not easy. It takes expensive software, it takes dedicated staff time to do follow-ups, and frankly, it takes the courage to report when results aren't so great. And all this creates that classic chicken and egg problem, right? You need funding to track outcomes, but you need to show outcomes to get the funding. But you have to start somewhere. So let's start with that audit.
First question for the team. Does your success metric end the second a participant walks out your door? If you're just counting heads in a workshop, you're tracking outputs. But if you're tracking their job status 6 months down the line, now you're on the path to tracking real outcomes. Second, can you actually explain that theory of change we just built? Can you connect the dots for a donor from your daily grind to your ultimate long-term impact in a simple, logical story? If the answer is no, or it's a little fuzzy, it's probably time to get back to the drawing board. And finally, the third question. And this one really gets to the heart of your organization's culture. Take a look at your internal reports. Listen to how your team talks about success. Are you guys celebrating activities? The hours you put in, the sessions you ran? Or are you celebrating achievements, the promotions your clients got, the permanent housing they secured? Because in the end, this is the entire shift, all wrapped up in a single question. Donors aren't happy just funding your activities anymore. They are looking to invest in your achievements. And proving that you can deliver those achievements, well, that's not just a fundraising strategy. It's the key to survival and to making a real, lasting impact in this new world of nonprofit funding.